Respected brothers and elders, as you and I very well know, that Allah Rabbul Izzat has created man exclusively for his worship. And one would only be deserving of the honorable title of being referred to as the true worshipper of Allah if his entire life is governed by Allah's obedience till death. We very well know that this is the reason why Allah has created us. But to deserve or to become deserving of this honorable title, that this man is the true worshipper of Allah, like in anything and everything, you would only call that person a mechanic whose daily occupation and profession is to fix cars. But that person who only gets under his car when he has a problem, no man will call him a mechanic. Unfortunately, one of the greatest of dilemmas that the ummah today is facing, you and I have restricted the concept of obedience to Allah with occasions and venues. And unfortunately, this is how we are presenting and reflecting deen to our children, as a continuation from our last week's talk. So the child is told in advance that Ramadan is coming, you prepare, in Ramadan you obey Allah. A person goes to Mecca and Medina, now restricting ibadat to the concept of a venue. That now as long as we are here, I know I must perform my salah, I will dress as a Muslim, I will read Quran. Comes an occasion of a janazah in the family, restricting ibadat to situations, to conditions, to venues, to occasions. Such a person has worshipped Allah to a certain extent, but he has not done justice, or he will not become deserving of the true and the honorable title of being the servant of Allah. The ayat al-Karimah that I recited before you, Allah speaks about those that maintain consistency in their amal, and regardless of the situations and the conditions that come. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wasallam on one occasion advising his Sahaba, specifically draws his attention and he tells, oh my Sahabi, addressing Abdullah ibn Umar, Ya Abdullah, la takum mithla fulanin, kana yaqumu min al-layl, fataraka qiyam al-layl. Oh Abdullah ibn Umar, my advice to you is, whenever you start any action, don't ever leave that good action until death overpowers you. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam exclusively told him that do not be like so and so, without mentioning that person's name, that he used to stand up and used to perform tahajjud namaz. And then somehow he decided and he terminated this relation which he had developed with Allah. Situations will change and fluctuate. A man is obeying Allah. As I mentioned, obedience of Allah will only be if our entire life in every situation, a man is so punctual in the obedience of Allah, and in comes a wedding in the family. Unfortunately, at this juncture, all the commandments of Allah are neglected. All the commandments of Allah are shunned one side, and regard is given to the joy of anyone and everyone at the cost of earning the displeasure of Allah. To please the wife, I'm having a big thing. To please the in-laws, we are not having separate accommodation. To please my son-in-law, we will have it in this hall. To please my daughter-in-law, this will happen. Brothers, has the time not come that we now start considering Allah's pleasure in our matters? Like it is said very beautifully, that when a person starts an action, then the reward of that action is now being prepared in Jannah. So you started performing tahajjud namaz, the reward is that a palace will be designed for you in Jannah. Daily you perform, daily Allah is beautifying, decorating, building that palace. Suddenly the angels see that, oh Allah, this house has been left without roof, without bricks, and it has not been completed. So the malaika ask Allah, oh Allah, what has happened to this house that you were decorating and designing for your servant? So Allah says that now there's no more supply of raw materials. As long as he was performing, it was being built. He terminated, now there's no raw material coming. The Nabi of Allah has come as a brightness and as a mercy unto humanity. And then he gives this to a physical example. He says, in the day when the sun has risen and has brightened the entire world, if some person goes and hibernates, or hides himself underground, or he shuts the doors, or he closes all the avenues of light reaching him, and then he turns up and he says, no, the sun has not benefited me, and the sun hasn't brightened my day, I still need to on the light. It will be told to him, the sun has brightened the world. Unfortunately, the avenues of the rays of the sun reaching you, you have blocked it. Likewise, the Nabi of Allah has come as a source of hidayat. If you will continue misusing your sight, oh my brother, and if you will continue abusing your hearing ability, and you will continue speaking that which invites the wrath of Allah, these three avenues via which either good or bad penetrates, you have now sealed the avenues of good to penetrate. One Sahabi came to Nabi alayhi salam, oh Nabi of Allah, give me advice, short, brief, concise, and that's it. Nabi alayhi salam said, say I have brought iman on Allah, and then live your whole life by what that statement demands from you. In Ramadan, the environment was conducive to read Quran. 20, 30 people were sitting in the masjid. So it made it easier for me. My only challenge is now in Ramadan, nobody wants to touch Allah's Kalam. This is the time I will attach myself to Allah's Quran. Allah's Qasam now. Ramadan multiplied our reward because of its significance. Now outside Ramadan, Allah will equally multiply our reward. Not because of the significance of this month, but now the value of that amal will go up in the eyes of Allah, because nobody wants to come close to it. Now the ones that will hold it, Allah will love them and raise them and elevate them. Brothers, I pose that same question. Will you turn your back to Allah at the separation of Ramadan? Will you turn your back to Allah after returning from Mecca? Will you turn your back from Allah after 3 months have lapsed after the demise of your beloved? In Islam, in every action, it is better that you do something little but continuously. You are better off going to visit your deceased in the graveyard daily than going there on Eid day and sitting the whole Eid day. Take out 5 minutes daily and read 3 times Surah Ikhlas, will earn you greater reward, and you will be more beloved to Allah than spending the whole day of Eid there. Allah loves consistency. Allah loves that you maintain your relation. There will be times when you will worship Allah, people will praise you. It's very easy to worship Allah at that time, brothers. The time to worship Allah is when you stand up and people insult you. And before the world can insult you, the first to condemn and criticize and ridicule that noble beard of Nabi alayhi salam will be your wife and your children. If you want to enjoy the sweetness of this kalima that you have been reading from the day you open your eyes, Allah's Qasam, take the opportunity of obeying Allah when people oppose you. You will get such sweetness and such pleasure that no food and no drink is given to you till today. But to obey Allah when things are conducive, when things are favorable, when people are praising you, then I don't know, are you worshipping Allah or are you worshipping the praises of people? We make dua to the Almighty Allah. He infused and instilled within us the same zeal and the same spirit of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, that we obey Allah in every condition, in every venue, regardless of the situations and the conditions that surround us, focusing on the obedience of Allah, living a life of the obedience of Allah until death overtakes us. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.